Good evening, everybody, and welcome to today's Maximise Your Membership webinar. My name is Ruth Mullen. I'm the Head of Member Experience here at the RCOT, and I'm really delighted to have this opportunity to welcome you here today and also to welcome you to the RCOT, your professional body. We would love this session to be a two-way discussion, so please feel free to type any questions that you may have into the Q&A bar or also feedback via the chat over the next hour. Before we get started with the presentations, I'd like to invite you to introduce yourselves into the chat and also to tell us a little bit about why you decided to become an occupational therapist and an RCOT member. So some of our members have been unable to join us today due to other commitments, so we will be recording today's session and this will be shared in the event follow-up. Please don't feel you need to remember everything that we are discussing today, as we will be sharing our slides afterwards. The aim of our session today is to provide you with information about the tools, resources, networks and support that you can access as part of your membership. We will also be providing an update about the other initiatives that we work on to support the wider OT profession. So today I'm joined with a range of colleagues from across the organisation who are representing different teams, all working towards providing support for our members. All of them will be introducing themselves shortly and also telling you more about their motivations for becoming an OT. We will be covering the following today. Emma will be leading our discussion on the range of CPD and professional development support that we offer to all career stages. Following this, Nikki will be talking about the regional and specialist sections peer-to-peer support available. Anne, our professional advisory manager, will be providing an overview of how these support services work and how best to access these services in the future if you need to. Suhaila will be providing an update on the key workforce initiatives that we work on, including leadership and our unique contribution. And Claudia will be discussing the wider benefits that you can access as part of your package. There will be time for questions at the end, and we will be having a Q&A discussion, and other resources will also be highlighted. Please feel free, as I mentioned earlier, to put your questions into the Q&A bar throughout the session, and we will try our very best to answer them as we go along, but if not, we'll pick them up at the end. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Emma, who's going to be leading the next discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. So as Ruth said, I'm Emma Grover. I'm the Professional Development Lead here at RCOT, and I've been an occupational therapist for around 12 years. So I actually have been an RCOT member a bit longer than that, because I remember joining when I was at university as a student, and it just felt really exciting to actually sign up to belong to an organisation representing our profession and really advocating all of the amazing things that we do and the difference that we make to people's everyday lives. So it's just been really nice to know that kind of RCOT is there, and over the years I've kind of used different benefits and always kind of gone to look for the resources that are available to support me in my practice. If we can move on to the next slide, I just want to talk a little bit about sort of the core purpose of the professional development team. And really, that's what we're all about. We're all about really supporting you to embrace continuing professional development, CPD, as part of your lifelong learning and development. We're really, really passionate about moving us all to a place where we carry out and record CPD regularly because we really want to, and not just because it's something that we have to do and must do for the Health and Care Professions Council, HCPC. Now, that said, and at risk of contradicting myself, we know that every 2 years, 2.5% of registered occupational therapists are selected at random for HCPC audit. And you may be aware that right now we're currently in that period. So I will just start off by letting you know how we're supporting our members with that. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Perfect, thank you. So we've developed a dedicated webpage, and on there you'll find lots of questions and answers relating to HCPC re-registration, the CPD audit process itself, but also CPD in general. And on that same webpage, you can find a recorded webinar that we did earlier this year with HCPC. It's all about what you need to know about the audit. So it's there available to watch back. And we've got the slides up there as well, so you can have a look at that as well if you weren't there during the actual event. And something new that we've done this year is we've been holding online drop-in sessions, and these are a protected space for members who've been called up for audit. The idea being that it creates a space where those members can feel really supported, they can ask questions, and they can also connect with peers going through audit at the same time. So it's been really lovely to work on these things, and we've listened, we've had so many lovely conversations with members, and we've been listening to what our members are telling us. And so often we hear that it would be really, really helpful for occupational therapists to have a single place to record all of their CPD activities, and that not only would that help people feel more prepared if they are selected for audit, but also beyond that, really helping us to embed good CPD habits into our very busy working lives. So I just wanted to say that we're planning to launch a new way for you to record your CPD very soon. And it's a project we've been working on really closely with members to test out and develop. So watch this space, and we'll share more information with you on that when we're in a position to. If we can go on to the next slide, please, Claudia, thank you. So earlier on, I mentioned how our team are here to support you on your lifelong journey of CPD. And when we look beyond CPD being a requirement, we know how valuable it is to regularly engage in learning. It really contributes to and enriches our personal and professional growth and our career development. And we're really proud of the resources that we're able to offer, because there's potential for learning and development in lots of different activities. So many different things can count as CPD. And what I'll do now is I'm going to run through a list of the CPD resources that you'll have access to as a member, and I'll share a little bit of information about all of them. Now, we've got our 5-minute reflection templates. So it's in the name, but these are really designed to use on the go, to record your learning and experiences when you've got just a few minutes in your day, perhaps. And then it's something that you can always go back and revisit and re-reflect on. We also host EDB Insights. Now, these are sessions that we run with experts and colleagues looking at equity, diversity and belonging, and how we can learn from it and incorporate that into daily life and practice. We have virtual cafes. So we have a placement cafe, which is for practice educators and people that support OT placement. And we have a research cafe for research interested members. And the idea behind the virtual cafes is that they offer a space where you can connect with kind of like-minded peers, you can ask questions, you can share knowledge, best practice, and really kind of learn from each other's experiences. So we get really good feedback from those, and they're really well attended. We also have different funding available. So as a member, you'll be able to apply for some funding that supports your learning, your development, and also some research activities. Some of you may have seen that at the moment we've got our annual awards open for applications, and we've got lots of different award categories with different amounts of money available. So that's worth exploring to see if there's a category that might fit with a project that you're working on or something that you're wanting to do. And we also have some lifelong learning grants available through your regions. You'll hear more about being in a region later, but when you go onto the region web pages, you can find out more about how to apply for the lifelong learning grants as well. So next up, we've got our career development framework. You may well have heard of this and come across it already because the framework itself is widely available. But if you haven't, this is a tool that can really support you to identify what you already know and can do, and then also map out where you want to take your learning and development next. So really nice kind of reflective exercise, for you to feel really self-aware about exactly where you're at in terms of your development, and then to plan out activities that you want to do to support you to kind of progress that and move forwards to different levels within the framework. And I mentioned that the framework itself is widely available, but as a member, you'll also have access to the resources that you can use alongside the framework. Fab, thank you. Now, the RCOT Career Conversations are a series of video podcasts, and they've been recorded by us, and they are a series which really focus on hearing and sharing the career narratives of our diverse workforce, and they really highlight a whole range of possibilities in occupational therapy careers, so well worth a listen. Our evidence spotlights introduce relevant topics and provide key reading, which is selected from the evidence base. So another good thing to check out if you haven't looked into those already. And our deep dive learning resources are quite flexible. So they are designed in a way that you can undertake it as a self-directed learning activity, but you could do that on your own, you could do it in pairs or in small groups, and they're quite flexible in that you can also either do the whole activity in one go, or you could pick it up and put it down depending on the time that you've got available for that learning. The next two things on the list, I'm not going to talk too much about because I think you're going to hear a bit more about those later, but it's just to mention that we do have lots of different events and different types of events as well. So we're really keen that you kind of take away from today that hopefully we've got lots of resources that can support you to take part in lots of different types of CPD activity. So yeah, annual conferences is one of our big flagship events, which you'll hear a bit more about later, so I won't go into too much detail into those now. I also wanted to mention our library resources. So you can access occupational therapy literature. We've got lots of ebooks available now as well. You can access online journals and databases. So another really, really valuable member benefit that you can use. And then finally, I know it's a long list, so thank you for bearing with me, but there's lots of opportunities to learn from each other through our communities. And on this note, I'm going to hand over to Nikki, who's going to talk to you a bit more about that.
Thank you, Emma. Hello, everyone. I'm Nikki Daniels, and I'm the Head of Communities and Connections at RCOT. I'm also an occupational therapist, and I've been a member of RCOT for 30 years. I've worked in the NHS, in industry, research, and education before I joined the team here at RCOT just over 2 years ago. And in all of these roles, I've connected with so many peers, many through RCOT, who've supported me at different stages in my career and inspired and influenced me in lots of different ways. So I'm delighted now to be here in this role dedicated to supporting our members and their professional development. So the reason we've got a Communities and Connections team is because of how strongly we value professional connections and occupational therapy communities and the opportunities they create for professional development. So when you join RCOT, as you probably know, you've automatically become a member of our fabulous occupational therapy community, joining over 36,000 other members from across the UK, from all 4 nations, across all our different career levels, and across the diverse settings and areas of practice in which all our members work. So many of you probably already know just how beneficial it can be to connect with others who work in a similar area or who've got a similar professional interest to you. So just that opportunity to be able to ask other people questions about their service or their experiences, being able to share and have reflective conversations, that ability to just learn from and with each other. So coming together in a larger group or community with others with similar interests really strengthens that community, and it helps to hear about, share, learn from all those diverse experiences across all the services across the UK. And in these communities, we can share innovative ways of working, our examples of good practice, and we can collectively build our evidence base, which not only helps us as individuals with our own CPD, as Emma has talked about, but ultimately sharing our skills, knowledge, and experience will help to benefit our service users. So when we come together in a community with a shared vested interest, we can also collectively represent our profession by coming together, bringing together our experience and our knowledge so that we can influence, we can advocate, and we can drive forward change both locally and nationally. So as Emma said, we have several communities here at RCOT which you can actively engage with to support your professional development. Can I have the next slide, please? So as a member of RCOT, you are automatically a member of our regional group. So the group you belong to will be based on the postcode you use to register your membership. And we have 13 regions across the UK. If you're not sure which of these regions you're a member of, then if you log onto your RCOT account and select My Committees from the menu on the right of your screen, you'll see which region you belong to. Each region has a committee who will organise local events, both virtually and in person. And this can include networking or social events. You can meet other members from your area or region, or it could be an event or a conference or a workshop, which helps to support the development of members in your area. So you should get a regular newsletter from your regional committee, which will share local events and news, and you can reach out to other members in your region via that newsletter. So just get in touch with your local committee members. Next slide, please. And we also have 10 specialist sections, and you can see here from the list the current specialist communities that we have. And just like the regions, the specialist sections host webinars, workshops, networking and learning events, journal clubs and conferences, both virtually and in person, which are specific to that area of practice. If you have a look on the web pages for the specialist sections, you'll see that some have within them clinical forums, which are groups who come together around a more specific area. So, for example, within our children, young people and family specialist section, we've got a neonatal forum, and I'm sure they won't mind if I use them as an example to just illustrate the real value and benefit of being a specialist section member. You might have seen recently in some of our comms and in social media that the Neonatal Forum run activities such as webinars and journal clubs and different learning events. But when you're part of a group like the Neonatal Forum, you also have the opportunity to contribute to the development of professional resources. So, for example, the Neonatal Forum have recently published a guide for occupational therapy staffing on neonatal units. They've developed a professional development framework specifically for occupational therapists working in a neonatal setting, and that's across all levels of practice from foundation to consultant level. And they've also played a key role in developing an e-learning resource for OTs who are new to working in neonatal care or who are thinking about becoming an occupational therapist in that area. So being a member of a special section is a great way to access CPD activities and keep up to date, but it also gives you access to opportunities to develop skills in other areas that you might not get the opportunity to in your workplace that can support your professional development. And again, each of our special sections is run by our fantastic volunteers who help to identify activities and plan events. And anyone, regardless of your role or your career level, is invited to become a volunteer. And it's a fantastic professional development opportunity. So please do consider this either for your region or for your specialist sections. And you can drop us an email if you'd like to find out more about those opportunities. Next slide, please. And this is my last slide. So in addition to our regions and special sections, we've also got some other networks as well that you might be interested in joining, like our Advanced Practice Network, Consultant Network, Primary Care Network. And we're also carrying out a pilot on LinkedIn called Research Connect, which is a space for our members to network and discover all things research related. And also keep an eye out for activities like our research cafes and our practice educator cafes, which are spaces for you to network with other members on a regular basis. But ultimately, we want every member of RCOT to find a community where they belong and which can support their professional development, whether that be on a regional level, in a special section, or in a community that's aligned with any element of your professional life. So we recognise that the model that I've just shared with you does have some gaps. So we're doing some work to explore further how we can expand our current communities model. So please do keep an eye out for opportunities to get involved in influencing that work. And we're also doing an important piece of work to identify an online platform which will allow us to host virtual communities, so it's much easier for you as members to talk and connect with each other. So again, watch the space for some developments over the coming year. So I'll share some links to some of the opportunities I've mentioned in the chat, and they'll be in your slide deck. But for now, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Anne to talk about how we support you in practice.
Hi everybody, so I'm Anne Keane and I'm the Professional Advisory Service Manager. So I'm an OT, I've been a member of the college for 32 years and next year is my 30th anniversary of being an OT and I still absolutely love it. My background is an OT working in mental health in the NHS for over 20 years and then I came to the college about 7 years ago and went straight to the professional advisory service and I've stayed there ever since. So PAS, it's a member benefit and it's It's for you. So if you have any questions regarding your professional practice, if there's anything you're not sure of, you've got a question about maybe an intervention you're thinking, or there's a problem in the workplace and you're not quite sure what to do, then we're the people to talk to, and we will help you with those issues. There are 3 members of staff that are dedicated to supporting you with your inquiries. There's Kusha, so she's the PAS inquiry coordinator. So she's not an occupational therapist, but she's extremely experienced. She's been working in the service for over 10 years. So she knows a lot about the types of inquiries that come to us. And we've got Rachel. So Rachel is a professional advisor and an occupational therapist. And she's very experienced OT. And also she took some time out to have a career break, like a lot of people do, and she is actually returned to practice OT. So she did a placement with us last year, and she was successful in getting back on the register, and she liked it so much that she stayed, which is brilliant. And then there's me as the manager of the service, and you can contact us by phone or email. Next slide, please. With our service, so basically we're here for you. So, you know, like we said, we remember benefit, anything, even if you think it might be a silly question, there's no such thing as a silly question. And sometimes it's good just to talk things through with another OT who can understand where you're coming from and your point of view. And sometimes people might have a specific issue or a problem that they're dealing with, and they might be unsure of what kind of help they need or what sort of advice they need. And sometimes, or there might not be a specific answer, but it's all about talking through the situation and we can help signpost to resources. And also, you know, it doesn't have to be a one-off conversation. It can be kind of ongoing as we help you to deal with the situation. And we'll always ask for your RCOT membership number, because it's, like I said, a member benefit. And also it's important to know as well that all our responses are tailored to you as individuals. So we don't use like generic standard responses at all. And we aim to answer all inquiries within 7 working days. And it's often, it will be the same day or the next day. But just to let you know, that's kind of our standard. Next slide, please. So this is quite a busy slide, as you can see. And originally I did this slide and it was about 4 slides long. We're kind of listing all the sorts of inquiries that we get. But basically, you name it, we can help you with it, we can deal with it. So the most common inquiries really are about things like scope of practice and insurance. So that is about, you might be doing an activity or planning to do an activity with a person, but you're thinking, oh, I'm not quite sure whether this is actual occupational therapy, or I'm not sure whether I'm insured to do it. So it could be something like, you know, if you were going to do relaxation with an individual, or you were going to do yoga, or you could do a particular intervention. And we have a discussion about, so thinking about yourselves as occupational therapists, and when you're doing that intervention or that activity, if you're using your occupational therapy knowledge, skills and experience, and if you're helping people to engage in their occupations, then you can say that you're practicing your profession and you're using that activity with an OT-centered way. Other things we help with are fitness to practice. So obviously, you know, for members who have been reported to the HCPC for fitness to practice issues, it is a very stressful thing to go through. So we're with people right from the beginning. So going from, you know, somebody to talk to help to plan, you know, for hearings, and also to also help people go through the stages so they don't feel alone going through that. And we also support people who are returning to practice, as I alluded to earlier with Rachel. So, you know, it might be people who've had a career break, they haven't practiced, so sometimes it'd be 10 or 20 years, but we can get them to, you know, help them return to the HCPC register and practice as occupational therapists again. Okay, can I have the next slide, please? We jumped a minute. So when we talk about unison, so I'm going to go back to the slide in a minute. That's okay. So as a member of RCOT, so practically all of you will be a member of Unison, apart from those of you who are self-employed members. So the people who are members of Unison, they will help you with any issues regarding your terms and conditions at work. It might be, you might have a question. Thank you. You might have a question about your pay. It might be a question, as recently we've had the various strike ballots that have gone on across the 4 nations. So Unison will provide that support for members. So everybody except those who are wholly self-employed or are overseas members. So they help to not only help with terms and conditions of work, it's also legal advice. They've got a welfare fund as well. It's really worth going onto their website and seeing what they've got. They've got lots of learning opportunities and courses that you can do. And also they help with fitness to practice investigations as well. So they will provide case management and also legal advice. So I've got a link there to the Unison webpage. And also, if you have any questions, you can either contact Unison directly or speak to us in PAS, and we will help. We'll discuss it with you and signpost you to the correct Unison regional office. Okay, next slide, please. Before I hand over to Suhaila, I was just going to briefly mention about insurance. So you will have that in your pack when you get the slides, and it's just to say that as a member of RCOT, you automatically have professional indemnity insurance, and that covers you to practice occupational therapy in any setting. So it can be paid or unpaid, it can be in a voluntary capacity. So as long as you're using your occupational therapy knowledge, skills and experience, is what I spoke about earlier, and if you're helping people to engage in your occupations, then our insurance will cover you. But there will be more details, like we said, in the pack. So now I'm going to hand over to Suhaila.
Brilliant, and thank you, Anne, and good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for giving up your time this evening and prioritising being here. It means more to us than I think we'll be able to convey through this event. But my name is Suhaila Mohammed. I'm an occupational therapist. I work here at the Royal College of Occupational Therapists as the head of practice and workforce. Please, can my colleague click one more time so we can see the title of the slide? Thank you so much. I joined RCOT in 2015 when I was studying my master's pre-registration occupational therapy course down in London, and in fact I jumped straight into being a volunteer for RCOT by applying to being a student representative on RCOT's London regional branch, which Nikki Daniels told us about not so long ago. Being a member of RCOT has been hugely beneficial to my career. My membership has afforded me exposure at regional and national levels right across the 4 nations of the UK. I've used all of the services and member benefits that you've heard and will hear about today, and it is nothing short of a privilege to work for my professional body, which I remain a member and a champion of. Next slide, please. The Practice and Workforce team is one of 3 departments that exists within RCOT's Practice and Innovation Directorate, and the 3 words on the slide in front of us sum up what each department stands for. Next slide, please. So we are the Practice and Workforce team. Our purpose is modernisation, and we will deliver that through readiness. Readiness on the front of employers and on the front of the occupational therapy workforce at large. Our work is based on a system-wide approach, and it is inclusive of employers and the occupational therapy workforce across 4 pillars of practice, which you'll see listed in the purple diamonds on the screen. Our definition of the occupational therapy workforce includes registered occupational therapists, the support workforce, leaders of occupational therapy teams and services, and of course our learners, including apprentices, and I can see that we have some on the call today. The Practice and Workforce team are 11 people strong. We're made up of professional advisors, country leads, a team manager, and team assistants, whom I see as the heart of the team and the people who keep our pulse beating. We have 3 priority areas for occupational therapy workforce growth, which you'll see listed in the pink circles on the slide, and they are primary care, community rehabilitation after a stay in hospital, and children, young people and families. Next slide, please.
if you didn't catch any of that, the practice and workforce team have two main functions. We influence, shape, and progress government policies that affect the occupational therapy profession, and we influence, shape, and progress occupational therapy practice. Those two functions together, aligning policy and practice, are what keep the profession modernized and relevant to the populations that we serve. Now, let me bring that to life with an example. Next slide, please. On the 26th of June, RCOT renewed its commitment to strengthening occupational therapy leadership at all levels of practice. And to do that, we launched two projects to deliver that commitment. And you'll see those projects listed on the slide in front of us. Next slide, please. Now, there were many reasons for us to do that, but the three main political and practice-related reasons for us to undertake this work is: the first is the fact that the powers to make decisions about the way in which health and social care services are governed, funded, designed, delivered, evaluated, have been legally handed over to integrated systems and their boards across the UK. The second reason is because the Health and Care Professions Council, our regulators, have made changes to our standards of proficiency, and those changes came into effect on the 1st of September 2023. Next slide, please. So these are the revised standards that all registrants must meet with regards to leadership. I'm not going to read them out, but I do encourage us all to have a look at the revised standards whenever we can. Next slide, please. And we can't forget that a key driver for strengthening occupational therapy leadership at all levels is the fact that our innate professional skills means that we are perfectly placed to be effective leaders at all tiers of our health and social care systems. What I mean by that is at neighbourhood level, at place level, at regional, and of course at national levels of leadership. So please don't forget that what makes us an asset to health and social care systems across the UK is our ability to keep people and populations at the heart of everything that we do and all the decisions that we make. We are effective advocates for the people that we serve. We're trained in systems thinking using models of practice that help us maintain holistic views of the people that we serve. And to do that, we must work in partnership with individuals, with their loved ones, with our colleagues and other organisations. And in doing so, we prevent people's health and care needs getting worse, and we help keep people in their natural living environments. So that's all from me. Please do keep in touch. I'm now going to hand over to the brains behind this operation, the fantabulous Claudia Anderson. Over to you, Claudia.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Okay, sorry about that. Hopefully you can hear me, and you should now be able to see me as well. So I'm here to talk to you about your wider member benefits. So my role at RCOT, first of all, full disclaimer, I am not an occupational therapist. I have a background in membership. So although you probably don't believe it, look at us, I've been working in the membership sector for the last 10 years. And my role is a new role at RCOT. So I am the member engagement manager here. And it's my job to think about different ways that we can get members like yourselves engaged with what RCOT is doing. The session today, for example, is something that's come out of a new focus from RCOT around their members and around member engagement. So what I'm going to do now is just run through some of your wider member benefits, and then we'll also be contact details at the end for the member excellence team. So I work with Nikki's team and also with Ruth's team, who you met at the start, with the member engagement and insights team across the membership directorate. And we're really just, like I say, a new focus on membership engagement. If you do need to contact us, all of the information will be on the slides at the end. So what I am going to talk about is, obviously, you've had some amazing information come through so far, but that's not it. There's loads of other different bits that you get with your membership. So just starting off, so there is a focus at RCOT to support research and development. So professional recognition awards and support funds are available, as well as research grants and bursaries. It's been touched on a couple of times already, but we have the Research Connects group, which is our pilot LinkedIn group, which reached over 300 members. recently, which is a huge kind of, it's something we haven't ever tried before, and it's something that's going really, really well. And we've got the monthly research cafes as well. We've also got the Innovation Hub, so you can share your service challenges and ideas for improvement on there. And we've also got, as Emma said, the library service, which gives you access to full text electronic journals, relevant occupational therapy, which can support and inform your practice and clinical and management decision making. So not only that, but we see it as our role to keep you in the loop. So we've got loads of different ways that we do that. So one thing I will say is if your email address is not up to date, please do give us it. And we've also got postal comms that we send out to you as well. So OT News is our monthly members magazine, jam-packed with really interesting articles, information about everything from the world of OT. You'll see us on social media, and we've got all the links to our social media in this presentation at the end as well. We've got Highlight, which is our monthly email update that goes out to all members. And then we've got regional and specialist section newsletters. We've got our research and development bulletin, which is our research newsletter. And we've got the British Journal of Occupational Therapy. Another thing that I'd just like to highlight as well is events. Obviously, we're at an event right now, but we do have other membership events as well. So we've got our 2-day member-led annual conference, which is in June. And then we've also got the CPD events that we run for members. Specialist sections and regions also run events, and we partner with other organisations to deliver external events as well. As I said, my role is a new role at RCOT, and doing things like putting on more events, trying to understand exactly what new members like yourselves, but also members who've been with us a long time, want to get out their membership is really crucial to that. So I'm so pleased to have you all here today, and hopefully you'll see a lot more events from us in the future as well. So now I'm going to hand back over to Ruth, who is sat right next to me. So if you could hear a bit of an echo, that's why. And she's going to run through any questions that we've got in the chat. So I'm going to put myself on mute now and hand you back over to Ruth.
Hello again, everybody. Can you be... Okay. Lovely. Thank you very much, Claudia. So I have a really, really efficient team here today who've been answering all of your questions in the chat bar. So we won't need to have too long a time for the Q&A session. Can you go to the next slide, please, Claudia? Thank you. Okay, so as I said, really efficient team who've been chatting away throughout the webinar and answering most of the questions that have come up. We have actually received a couple of other questions via email, so I'm just going to propose those now. Can I please invite the RCOT team to put their cameras back on for this final session, please? Thank you, and welcome back all. Okay, so the first question is a question that we've received about Unison, and I'm going to invite my colleague Anne to answer this one, please. So this is a question which is, are all of the members of the RCOT members of Unison, and do Unison member fees go into the Unison political fund? So that's quite a juicy one.
Okay, thank you very much. So all RCT members are members of Unison, apart from our members who are wholly self-employed, and by that we mean they are registered as self-employed with HMRC. And then also our overseas members are not members of Unison, but apart from that, everybody else is. And then the Unison Political Fund is, so basically, no, none of your membership money and membership fees goes into the Unison Political Fund, because as you may be aware, Unison is affiliated to the Labour Party, but your fees, don't form part of that at all. It's completely separate contracts and a separate amount of money that goes to Unison that enable them to work on our members' behalf with any issues regarding industrial relations.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anne. That was really, really clear and really, really useful to know. Thank you. And the second question, I'm going to invite my colleague Sahila to answer this one. It's about professional networks, and are there other professional networks that members can join?
Thank you, Ruth. And yes, they are. That's the simple answer. Perhaps the first thing I will say is that the professional networks complement the regional branches and the specialist sections that you've heard Nikki speak about. But we do have several professional networks that support people at all career levels. So for those of you who are perhaps feeling like you're early in your career, there's a network for you. Those who are either returning to practice or maybe working at an enhanced level of practice, there's a network for you too. Advanced practitioners and also consultant level practitioners. We have a couple of networks. That we've got a social care network, and the one I would encourage everybody to join, and I'll drop some information in the chat shortly, is around is our leadership forum, which is really about supporting leadership at all levels across all pillars of practice. Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you so much, Sahina. That's great. So I'm just having a look at the chat here, and I can see, Emma, you're saying that you joined a couple of weeks ago, so welcome. Very pleased to meet you at the beginning of your membership journey. I can see that you've received your welcome pack, but you haven't received any newsletters yet. So that's something for us to look into on your behalf. So what we'll do is we'll reach out to you directly and just get your details so we can check your account and see that everything is set up correctly for you. We do send a lot of communications out, and you can also let us know at any point through our website if you've got a change in your preferences. So if you'd rather receive hard copy comms from us or digital comms and things like that, and you can also let us know what particular topics you're interested in as well, and we'll try and tailor our communications so they're as useful as they possibly can be for you. Lovely. Can you go on to the next slide, please, Claudia? Great. So basically, this is a bit of a mop-up slide. I fully appreciate there's been a lot of information shared today. And as I said at the beginning of the session, we absolutely do not expect you to remember all of this. And in the follow-up to the webinar, we will be sharing these slides. There's hyperlinks to everything that we've been discussing today in these slides, so you'll have direct access to our website. Can you go to the next slide, please? And also, here's some other kind of ways that you can connect with us as well. So our social media details, our LinkedIn details. So please do, make use of these contacts and engage with us as much as you would like. As well as that, if you wouldn't mind going to the last slide, please. Here's some of direct phone numbers and also email addresses from the teams that you've met today. This is very much, the start. Well, for some of you, you've been at the RCOT previously and you've come back. And for some of you, I can see from the chat, you've only recently joined. So, this is very much the start of your membership journey. We're here to support you all the way along. So if there's anything at all that we can help with along the way, please do reach out. We may not always have the answers, but we'll certainly work very hard to get them for you. We will be engaging with you on a regular basis, asking you for feedback and asking you for your ideas about things that we're working on too. So there's lots and lots of opportunities to get involved. So I think that's it from us today. So I'm very pleased to say we're very happy to give you a few minutes back in your evening. I just feel very grateful that you've all joined us today. It's been a pleasure to get to meet with you all. And as I said, myself and the team will be here to support you every step of the way. So please do kind of get in touch if there's anything that you need. Really do appreciate you, as I said, joining on a Thursday evening. And welcome to membership. We hope to hear from you soon. A big thank you as well to all of my colleagues that have presented today. It's been really, really wonderful to have you all here. And that's it from us. So thanks very much.